Hello YouTube, I Fix It All here. Team I Fix It All. So, 1970 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. This is what happens when you don't know what you're doing. So, before putting in a Volkswagen Karmann Ghia window, I did search the web to see if anybody had a tutorial. Seems simple enough. 4 bolts. But the design of this, when I was adjusting for my seals in the previous video, this track allows you to add in forward and aft motion on the glass to locate and set it where you want. And you would think you would be allowed to tighten all 4 bolts down, and I don't mean putting breaker bars on it. I'm just reasonable, snug it down. Choked way up on your ratchet and just snugging things down. That event caused my glass to break right here in my face like an IED. I've got a whole bucket of glass sitting right here to prove it. And I've still got more glass to take out. So what's going on here is these 2 bolts you can tighten down. These 2 bolts do not pass through the glass. This is 2 pieces of steel in here. Well, ignore this plate. There's 2 pieces of steel here, and there is a rubber saddle that the glass sits in. And apparently these 2 bolts, the top 2, my advice to everyone is to only snug those down. Just snug them. Tighten these 2. It seems like the design is trying to speak to me, and it tells me that yes, you can tighten the bottom ones, but only snug down the top ones. If you go to treat the top ones like you did the bottom ones, you're going to break your glass. So these come out like this. The hardware is different on the bottom. On the bottom you have 2 little 1/4 inch washer and bolt hardware. And these are, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right, but they're Belvier washers. They're like, they're cupped. In this case, the cup goes toward the steel, and as you tighten the bolt down, the cup tries to straighten out, but it in effect acts like a lock washer. Now that's good for when you're fastening steel parts together, but if this was a electrical connection, like a copper bus bar or what have you, you don't want to have that. You want to have the Belvier washer flipped around. You want to have the rounded side facing your flat conductive surface. Otherwise, you'll introduce an air gap in your connection. Long and sweet of it is, these are the 2 bottom hardwares. You've got 2 bolts on the bottom, 2 short ones, and then the top ones pass through the glass. These are the ones you just want to snug down. There's a washer back here too. So I'm collecting up my hardware I plan to reuse. These are also Bellevue washers or what have you. There you go. Take this one out. That stayed put. That's surprising. That should fall straight down. There's nothing holding it. There's the second piece of hardware. Tighten, snug. Just snug the bolts that pass through the glass. So here comes the saddle or the holder. Side view. Here's a rubberized protector doohickey that looks like it travels around to keep the steel from touching the glass. So, wow, my tarp blew over. So I'm already trying to pay attention to a couple of things to see what was happening here. Yeah, you can't put this on backwards. I was double checking that. So these, yeah, you can't mess this part up. You can't install it like this. There's no bottom holes. So that's the way it would go in. And my next task is to clean this up, take you in the garage, show you the new window, and we will put some glass back in. Be right back. Let me pause the video. So, we're back here. Here's the new glass. And the saddle. Got the saddle cleaned out. And there's the two holes in the glass. That's going to match up nicely, but I destroyed the rubber in the saddle, so an inner tube should do the trick. So we'll be back here in a few. Well, got the new saddle made. Taking a lot of chances there, putting it on the glass. I ended up not using the inner tube, and I was having trouble finding a flat rubber surface to trace onto, so I ended up using this stuff. I just took 2 straight pieces of the, it's not tape, it's just rubber, a roll of rubber material, and I spliced it with 3M or Gorilla Tape. But there's the bottom view of it. I've got the Gorilla Tape facing the metal. It's on the outermost, on the bottom. And then I just used a little punch right there, little hole punch, to dress in the holes where they need to be. And it looks similar to what was factory. So we'll slip this on and get it outside, and we'll continue the install. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. So apparently what we have to do first is spot in our hardware, get our bracket started in, get it spotted. I've just got this hand snug. I have a cat above me making noises. Okay, it still moves some. That's good enough to allow us to drop in our glass now. So I'm going to go get the glass, pause the video, be back. Alright, we're back. it looks like, can't tell if we're recording or not. Yep. This was a pain in the butt to get seated for some reason. But there's my saddle bolted in. And again, these two bolts do not pass through the glass, only these two. So now I can just simply put my hardware back in, just like it was from factory. There's that. There's a washer in the right direction. There's the other piece of hardware. And you got to feel for the right direction, so I'm putting the cup facing inward. And there you have it. So if I loosen up a little, everywhere. Then I have my forward and back adjustment. Then this piece of hardware down here, adjust the camera a little bit.